welcome to the Women Writing Podcast. I'm your book coach, Lisa Kovala. I'm an author accelerator, certified fiction and memoir book coach, and the author of Like Water for Weary Souls, Sisters Winter War, Surviving Struthoff, and the upcoming Hygge House Cozy Mystery Series. As a Finnish Canadian, I also love my coffee. Take a coffee break with us as we chat about all things writerly with authors and publishing industry professionals. And don't forget to sign up for my Women Writing newsletter on Substack and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more great content. In today's episode of Women Writing, I'm having a coffee break with Emma Tourtelot. She's the author of No One You Know. She is also the co-author of 8 books about sex and relationships, as one half of the celebrated sex advice duo Em and Lo, and co-creator of Nerve Personals. Time magazine called her first book this generation's smarter, funnier, and raunchier version of the joy of sex. After being a sex advice writer for almost 2 decades, Emma is now a middle school librarian in the Hudson Valley, which turns out to be a lot more controversial than her first career. Hi, Emma. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm so good. Thanks for joining me today. Is it tea or coffee? I have to ask that question first.
I'm drinking tea. I can't drink caffeine after about 2 o'clock. So I've got my
Yeah.
royal wedding mug
Oh,
here.
I love that. Which royal wedding?
This is from William and Kate's
William
royal
and
wedding.
Kate. Awesome. I love that. So wonderful. And what are you taking a break from today?
I am taking a break. Well, I was just hanging out downstairs with my daughter doing the puzzle. So right now I'm taking a break from the
Aw,
puzzle.
that's awesome. The puzzle's a break from work and then a break from the puzzle, and awesome. I love that. Actually, I just gave my kids who are adults puzzle. Well, I didn't actually. I bought them on behalf of my mom to give to my kids for Christmas because she doesn't do her shopping anymore. And I got them puzzles for Christmas and they were thrilled. Like even at 22 and 25, they were still
Yeah.
into
I
it.
mean, it was slightly less wholesome because we were doing the puzzle while watching an episode of Heated Rivalry.
Oh,
So
fair. Yeah. That's a good mix. That's good.
yeah. So it's a little bit of wholesome and a little bit of not so wholesome.
Amazing. Okay. Well, I would love to talk to you about your interesting life and career and novel. Have you always, I always ask this question too, but again, I'm so fascinated by people's like journey. Have you always been a writer, always wanted to be a writer?
I think I always wanted to be a writer, but I just wasn't quite sure how to do that. I mean, I guess I'd say I'd always wanted to be around books in some way.
Right.
And I always loved books. And when I was younger, I sort of thought that the only way to be a writer was to be a journalist, like a newspaper
Right.
journalist. I don't know why, because I read books all the time and it didn't occur to me to write books. So when I was younger, I used to say, oh, I want to be a journalist. And then when I got to college, I worked for our school newspaper, which was great. I really learned how to write there, but I also learned that I'm kind of an introvert, and being a journalist is a lot of getting on the phone and kind of bothering people who maybe don't want to talk to you. So then I was like, oh, I definitely don't want to be that kind of writer. So then I was an editor for a while and eventually made my way to
Amazing.
writing fiction.
That's so fascinating because when I was in high school making a decision about what to study, I also wanted to be around books. And it was a decision between English and journalism. And in the same town in Ottawa, they had English programs at both, but a journalism school in Ottawa that's really excellent. And I went for English and became a teacher. And my daughter, same story, became a journalist. So it's
Oh,
interesting how like book people kind of find their way to words in some way or other. Right. And she
yeah,
too loves to write. So it's not surprising to me that as a journalist, you still have that love of literature and wanting to write your own stories. And I mean, we just come to it at different times in our life, I think.
exactly.
When did you
Exactly.
decide to kind of pivot from writing journalism to writing fiction?
Well, I pivoted first to away from journalism, I suppose, because it became so hard to make a living doing that. And it took me a long time to realize that because kind of the decline of magazine journalism happened when my kids were little. So I was doing it fairly part-time. And then as my kids got older and I had more time, I suddenly realized it was just becoming more of a slog. Like it was really becoming harder to make a living at it. So I started thinking about what else I wanted to do. And that's when I went back to school to get my degree to become a librarian. And so the first couple of years in a new job, especially being a teacher like that, I wasn't even thinking about writing. I was just a little overwhelmed learning my new job.
Right.
Um, and then I realized that I wanted to write again, but I realized that I was kind of done writing magazine short form pieces and I wanted to try fiction. And I think I'd always secretly wanted to write fiction and I just felt like I didn't have anything to write about.
Right.
I think maybe when I was in my 20s, I maybe wrote half a page of a novel and was just
Right.
like, no, like, I don't have anything to say yet. So I
Right.
think I finally felt like I had something to say. And so then I started playing around with it. So probably not until I was, yeah, about 10 years ago, I would say I
Yeah.
started writing.
Yeah. I think that's pretty common for a lot of folks, right? You have like other work and other jobs and experiences before you feel like you have like there might be stories there, but we don't know how to approach them. And then eventually it's like, oh no, this I know where to go, or I can find, or we have the confidence to learn. That's the other thing. Like I think I'm at that stage in life where I'm like, I don't know how to do those things, but I can figure it out. Like, and if I can't
Yeah.
figure it out, there are people who can help me. Like I just, whereas in my 20s, I don't think I had that. I was more like, oh, if I don't know how, I gotta just do something else or like I didn't have the confidence to go and ask people. So did you how did you approach it? Did you take courses or like read about craft or what was your process there?
Both of those things, yes. So I think it was actually my husband got me, the first course I took was with the Gotham Online Writers Workshop. My husband gave me for Christmas one year a gift certificate to that course. I think just to sort of almost to give me permission. I'd been sort
Yeah.
of thinking about it, but I don't even know if I'd said it out loud or he somehow intuited that it was the right time. So I started there, and then we lived in LA for a year. So I took a course at the UCLA Writers Workshop out there,
Yes.
and then took a couple of other courses online, read a lot of books, and then finally realized that I was reading books as a way of avoiding writing.
Yes.
Big book, a big shelf of books on craft that
Yes.
I had to force myself to take a break from. And then I was in a writing group with some local friends too, and that really, really helped. Just it helped to give me a deadline and then just to have some built-in readers. So
Yeah. I feel like all of those things are a bit of like an on-ramp. Like we need to do them. I think we all do it, right? We read like I have so many books on craft and as a writing teacher, I do go back to them and I do recommend some, but we can, like you say, you can really start to avoid actually writing by learning about writing. Like
also it really is important to read those because, and it's so weird for me to realize now, but when I first started writing, even though I'd been reading fiction my whole life, I didn't even realize that I was switching tense from paragraph to paragraph, and I was switching point of view, and I was switching from omniscient narrator to like direct first person, and I wasn't thinking about that. So it
yeah,
was really helpful to just learn some basic craft, like
yeah,
how to write a scene.
100%. And then to find our little writing community of people who are doing, how was that for you? Like what was that? Did that shift things for you to be able to meet with them? And did you meet with them
Yeah.
online or in person, or how did that work?
And I've tried different types of writing community over the years. The first one I was in was when we were sharing papers with each other. So, we would share a couple of chapters with each other and we'd read each other's stuff and comment on it. And when I was just getting going, that was really helpful because, when you're first starting writing, you're like, is this a thing? Is this even good? I don't know. Um, and now I have a little more confidence and I'm also a little more private when I'm working on something. I kind of want to just write something bigger before I show it to someone. So now the writing group I'm in, we meet over Zoom, even though most of us are local, and we just all kind of write at the same time. And we'll talk for 5 minutes at the beginning of the Zoom about what we're hoping to work on, but we don't actually share each other's pages.
Right.
So I'm but now that I have a full-time job and two kids, so I'm quite protective of my time. So I like being in a group where we're not necessarily expecting to read each other's stuff. We're just there to keep each other accountable.
I love that so much. Two things, like one is that I'm really glad that you had a group early on who exchanged pages and you found it positive, because that's not always the case, right?
Right.
Like you sometimes that can be devastating for somebody. So if you had a group that was supportive and you got good feedback, I mean that's just a gem right there that you had that experience. Because
Well,
it doesn't always go.
one Yeah, and there were definitely it was a mixed bag. There was one woman in the group who was very sweet, but she would just put little check marks under things she liked, and that
Okay.
was I was like, well, that's nice, but it's not
Yeah.
helpful. But
Yeah. Right.
one
Yes.
one of the women in the group had the woman who'd been my writing partner for about a decade before then. So we'd been each other's editors and we'd been co-writers together for more than a decade. So we kind of I think she was not worried about offending me. Like she was good at
Yes.
being blunt, and we kind of already had a language built in. So that was really nice. And we'd been co-writers on nonfiction and then started sharing fiction with each other. So I think because we'd had that working relationship, that I think that probably helped.
Yeah, 100%. And then the other thing I was going to say is with your group now where you sit and write together. There are so many groups that do that. I have a group that does that. And I find that probably one of the most productive things you can do. If it's an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it is, and you just write and you take that little break and have a chat. And the fact that everyone else is doing the work at the same time as you are, it's
Yeah.
like you just think, oh, this is what we're doing. Let's just do it.
Like, and I don't know for anyone who finds it hard to give themselves permission to take the
Yes,
time, especially like, my kids are still at home and I'm never going to just walk away from a dirty kitchen and be like, I'm going to go write. But I can walk away from a dirty kitchen and be like, I'm sorry, I've got to jump on a Zoom,
I got a call. Yes,
I
it's
got to
work
work.
now.
Yeah.
Yes, it is true, right? And I'm the same. I find it sometimes hard to sit down by myself for myself, but I have a group of friends, and I will just like pop it in the chat that, oh, I'm going to have a pop-up writing session at 1 o'clock, and then they hop on if they can, and all of a sudden, like I'm doing it for them, but I'm also doing it for me. So it's like win-win. And they're happy too because they are also sometimes struggling. One of them is not even a writer; she's an artist, but she just likes to sit and work, and we do the thing. And
I love
like it's those little communities are the best, right? Like if you can find a group that will do that, and there's lots of
it.
groups out there, but if you don't have one, create one. Like there's people who,
Yeah.
and they don't have to be writing; they could be working on their marketing. They could be working on some project. It doesn't even really matter. It's the idea that you're sitting with other humans and not just a
Right.
top screen.
I'm in now, it's a local woman, but I hadn't met her before. And she just posted something on social media, and a mutual friend of ours was like, hey, this other woman is doing this. So, like, we only met in person after we'd been in the group together for about 9 months. So,
Wow. Yeah. Awesome. Well, that kind of brings me to the whole idea. Here we're like, yes, to the digital age. And then we come to your book. And I mean, it is an issue in your story. Um, I really, really loved reading your book. It's called No One You Know. Can you tell us a little bit about the story and where you were in, the inspiration for it?
so it's a dual narrative mother-daughter story. So it's a mother and a teenage girl. They take it in turns every other chapter telling the story. It takes place in a small town in the Hudson Valley. And just before the book begins, the daughter, who is 14 when the book starts, she's just lost her best friend in a hit and run accident that she witnessed. And so the course of the book, it takes place over about a year. And it's just the daughter figuring out how to mourn this best friend, and the mother figuring out how to be a mother to this teen girl who's experiencing something that no teen girl should have to. And they're all mourning in their own ways. The mother is only about a year into losing her own mother, and the father lost his brother when he was younger. So it's just about kind of the different timelines we mourn on, the different ways we mourn, and the idea that there's no right or wrong way to mourn, and just this teenage girl trying to make sense of death and life. And
Yeah, really beautiful. I loved the mom's um career choice, I guess you could say. So can you tell us a little bit about her? What did you call it? A momfluencer?
Or a momfluencer, yes. So she's a realtor. So I live in a small town in the Hudson Valley, and there are a lot of people around here are realtors. It's sort of a lot of people move up here from the city trying to figure out what they can do. I became a school librarian. A lot of people become realtors. So she's a realtor, but her real passion is writing. So she has a blog that she starts. I don't know. I don't actually call it a blog. I think I just call it her online thing because I figured
Oh,
whatever word I used would be out of date.
true.
Sort of like, but so she has a thing where she posts pictures and essays online, and she's got quite a following, and she talks about motherhood and being a realtor. Um, so yes, so she's kind of a momfluencer, and she has a lot of online friends who are sort of
Yeah.
her followers.
Yeah. And I found too that with her life that she's sort of kind of absorbed in it. I'm not sure that initially, at least, she understood her daughter's experiences because she was kind of that tug between what you're doing and your family and all the complexities of our lives, right?
And seeing your daughter, which, and I have a daughter who's 17 now, but she was about the age of the daughter in this book when I started writing, and kind of watching your daughter grow up and realizing what they can and can't handle and what you have to let them figure out themselves. And they might be figuring out things in a way that you wouldn't have done yourself, and figuring out, where you parent them and where you have to step back and just kind of watch them handle it. So
Yeah, for sure. And so you're now a middle school librarian. So you're seeing firsthand the effects of the digital world on your students. Like what's
mhm.
um I don't even know what to ask there because it's just such a big, complicated thing. Like it's not going away. It's not, we're in it.
So, yeah.
What are your
I mean, it's funny, like, in some ways, there are just, like, lighthearted things, like, all of a sudden, students will be finding the number 67 funny, and, like, it just comes out of nowhere,
Yeah,
right? Or they'll just be some word they'll start using. So, but yeah, it's we they have all the students in my school have devices. They all got devices during COVID, but they still have them now. And when they are anywhere near their devices, I can't even get them to look at me. And I always tell them, I'm like, it's not your fault. Like
yes.
these devices have been designed to addict you.
Yeah,
So we're going to put them under the table so that you can't see them. But yeah, they want to touch them, they want to hug
yeah.
them, they want to mess with them. Um, so yeah, it's hard. I try to do as little as possible with the devices if I can. But yeah, and when if they're in the library and they're supposed to be doing homework, but Minecraft's right there in the next tab, and I feel bad for them. It's like
Yeah,
you should. I don't know that I could have concentrated on homework if there was YouTube and Google and Minecraft, like
right.
just one step over.
All of yeah, everything that they're absorbed in most parts of their day. And then at school, we're like, no, no, no. And I remember a time when I've taught long enough that I remember a time when like I taught high school. So um like we had like older kids had cell phones, but you didn't really see them that much. Like it wasn't a big thing. And then I remember the year where the grade nines came in and almost everyone had a cell phone. Like it was just like this shift. And those kids and everyone after them all had a cell phone. And we happened to be a laptop school. So before that, there was a laptop program. And so there were students with laptops, and then there were students who didn't have laptops. And so it was kind of a specialized thing to have a laptop in a classroom, like every kid. And then all of a sudden it was everyone has their laptop, everyone has a phone, and it became a management issue for sure. And now I've left, but I have friends still at my school, and they're saying now, like the English teachers would, um, they're doing a lot of handwritten things. Like it's almost going back 20 years. They're like,
Yeah.
no, yeah, because it's just they can't manage all the AI stuff. So they're like, no, you have to write it in a notebook and hand it in the notebook in your own words and not on your laptop. Like it's almost like we've had to go back to all the old strategies to make sure kids are able to do some of these things. Otherwise, they just don't.
Yeah, I mean, even it's funny when I went back to get my master's, so that was about 10 years ago. So this isn't school that anyone has to go to, it's a master's in information science. And I was there to get a degree so I could get a job. But there were these, 22-year-olds, 23-year-olds in the same program as me, and they were all on Facebook. It was like me and two other moms, and we were in the front row, like raising our hands and
Yes.
like
Totally
asking questions.
engaged.
And then because this was 10 years ago, it wasn't uncool for, 23-year-olds to be on Facebook back then. They were on Facebook on their phones or their
Yeah.
laptops on the back. And I just like you're paying so much money to get a master's degree. And
Yeah.
it was a little heartbreaking.
Painful. Yeah. I did my master's, I don't know, like in the early 2000s. Like I think I was pregnant with my son, so 2002 or so. And I having done my English degree, I just remember being in the stacks and photocopying things, and like that was a whole part of university life. And then doing my master's, I'm like, I can get these books online. I can get that. It was amazing. And I'm like, I'm not sure that anyone's getting any books or reading any
Right.
books. It's just a whole other
I
world.
mean, I do spend a lot of time. So, I do still teach students the Dewey Decimal System because I
Amazing.
have to, but I spend just as much time teaching them how to use Google.
Yeah.
And I teaching
Yeah.
them to, we have all these databases that they could use like
Yes.
Britannica, but I know that the moment I turn my back, they're going to open Google. So I'm super passionate about
Yeah.
teaching them how
Yeah.
to
How to
like
use it.
how to use it and how to like when you're on a website, how do you know if it's a reliable source? Like I
100%.
tell them, I'm constantly talking to them,
Yeah.
okay, who wrote this? Are they an expert? How do we know? Like, is it biased? And so that's definitely changed. I was much less focused on that when I first became a school librarian. But I tell my students, if there's one thing you learn from me and you're, 5 years in this school, it's that looking at this website and deciding like, is it a reliable source?
Yeah. Amazing. Right? Like that's the skill. Yeah. That's the skill
Like,
they
okay.
need. Yay for librarians teaching this stuff and other teachers as well. I love it so much. Can we talk about your almost 2 decades of writing a column? Tell me if this is correct. Were you M and Low?
Yes. So
M
I'm
Low.
Emma, and then my writing partner Lorelai went by Lo. So we met at nerve.com in the late 90s, which was this online literary sex magazine that sort of had essays and fiction and photography. And then the two of us started the kind of the interactive area of Nerve. So we created the Nerve Personals, which some people might still remember. And we started an advice column there called the Emma Lowdown. So we started writing advice and then we started writing books together. So yeah, for almost, yeah, I think about 15 years we wrote together. So people would write in and ask us questions about sex and dating and
Yeah.
relationships. And we wrote columns, we wrote books. Yeah, we did a college tour talking about reproductive rights. So yeah, that was my life for about 15 years.
Incredible. And you wrote like how many books did you write together?
We wrote 8 books together.
8 books. Wow. How
Yeah.
is that relationship as co-authors? Like, I mean, you've known each other for a long time. You're comfortable. You've been doing this, the columns and things, but like, that's a whole other thing to write a book with somebody else, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we started writing columns together, and when we first started writing together, we were still developing a voice. So we were, 24, so we'd go to a bar to write. So we'd go to a
I
bar
love it.
and we'd take a laptop with us and we'd take a notebook with us and we'd go to a bar and we'd literally like, pass this back and forth and we'd like type a word and we'd be kind of talking the words out together. And we did that for a few years. And once we started doing that, we kind of developed this voice that both of us could write in at any time. So then after that, so once we started writing books together, we'd split up the chapters and I'd write a first draft of one chapter while she'd write a first draft of the next chapter. And then we'd trade and we'd edit each other because we were both editors as well. So we were it went from co-writing to kind of more just sharing the writing and
Yeah.
editing.
That's incredible. Yeah, and I think that that kind of relationship can work really well. Like I know there's a lot of fiction writers who do that. Sometimes writing under one name and sometimes writing with both of their names. But like I think that's fascinating that, and sometimes it's like one character is one writer's voice and the other characters or something like that. So there's other ways to approach it, but the fact that you two could find a voice for that book, like that you could both write in, that's incredible, right? Like that takes
Yeah.
time and effort and years of working together to establish, I'm sure. Really
And it was,
great.
it was really important to both of us to write with a sense of humor because we were writing about subjects that make a lot of people uncomfortable. So we felt like if we wrote with humor, that it kind of disarms people and makes them more comfortable. So, it's much easier to be funny when you have someone to bounce the jokes off and someone to say,
Yes.
well, that's not funny, or like, how about this? And
Yeah.
so that definitely helped.
Oh, that's incredible. Yeah, amazing. And then you left, so you did that. When did you leave that? And then that's when you became a librarian after being
Yes. Yeah.
homeless?
So, yeah, I was sort of, I mean, it was partly that it was getting harder and harder to make a living in magazines. And also, I just felt like I'd said everything about sex and dating that I had to
Right.
say. Like, there was
Right.
just, there's only so
Saying it
many.
again.
And I also, at that point, I had two kids and I was living upstate. And I just, I felt like it was time for somebody else to write about, the casual dating scene in New York City.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, the audience constantly changes as they age, but yeah, you might feel like the creatively it's not as fun anymore. And then becoming a librarian. And then so you've written this book, this beautiful book about this mother and daughter. And I just loved your character Indy, who talks like who's really experiencing grief. And like you said, that all the characters are experiencing grief in different ways and for different reasons. But I thought Indy was so touching because tell me if I'm wrong, but I think it's her most personal first experience with grief. So her grandmother had died, but there's other situations in the family, but this is her best
This
friend.
is her yeah.
Yeah, yeah, incredibly moving and having to navigate that. Was there anything that made you want to deal with that subject matter? Because it's pretty tough.
Well, my daughter didn't lose anyone in that way, but in middle school, my daughter had a best friend who moved away, and it was really her only friend. And she was just heartbroken and so lonely. And I couldn't fix it. It was the first time in my daughter's life when she'd been experiencing something that was really hard and really heartbreaking. And my instinct is always to want to fix something, you know. Um, and I think it's Dr. Becky who talks about when your kid is going through something hard, you just have to sit on the bench with them and just like be in the pain with them. And I'm really not good at that. Um, and so I was just watching my daughter go through this. And it's a kind of grief, when you lose a friend like that. It was a friend she'd seen every day. And, middle school is so hard anyway. So yeah, it was just that experience of watching my daughter go through something really hard and not being able to fix it. Like baking a cake together wasn't going to make it okay. Like
Right.
going shopping wasn't going to fix it. So I just, I was like, okay, I'm going to write about what this feels like because it feels really terrible, but I want to do something with this feeling.
Yeah, that's really powerful. I think we talk about like the why of somebody, like what is their why for writing, and that it was so personal to you, and that you had like, it just makes like, well, I feel like like when I was reading it, it's so authentic, those emotions and really visceral because like as a mom, you can't fix it, but it's the most terrible feeling that you can't take away the pain or at least help with it, or you just have to let them go
Yeah.
through it. And it's like it's a terrible, terrible thing. Whatever kind of loss it is at different ages, it's different things that they're affected by. But in this
Yeah.
story with the death of Maddie, it was just you could see that how traumatizing it was for Indy and how Kate had to really figure out how to how to handle that. And the father too, right? Like in his own way, he had his trying to approach it. So I mean, it was just fascinating to me. Um, so now that that book is out in the world, it's out, right? Like I think I had
I'm
an early
almost
advance
January 20th it comes out.
January
So
20th. So that's soon. So this will air in February 3rd. So your book will just have come out so people can find it. Um, what are you doing now? What are you working on? Or are you taking a
so
little break to promo it? All the things.
um No, I'm a little bit. I work myself hard, so I've got another book that I'm working on with my agent. So I'm hoping to get her the next rewrite in the next couple of weeks. So I'm feeling a little bit frazzled, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's a book. It's another book about motherhood, but it's also a little bit of a dystopia. It's about this family who they volunteer to be part of this NASA experiment where they go into a Mars habitat on planet Earth for a year, and they come out and it seems like everybody's gone. So they had gone into the dome because it's funny, we were talking about phones. The parents kind of wanted to get their kids off devices. So they're like, okay, we'll volunteer to go live in a dome for a year.
Yeah.
And then they come out and all the humans are gone.
Oh
So
my goodness. Oh, I love this idea so much. That is excellent. So good.
it's
So that's an exciting thing. I want to ask you about writing process too, because I'm always fascinated as well by like, are you a person who writes every day? I know you're working. So how do you, and you have, your busy home life. So how do you fit it in?
So I mean, because I didn't start writing fiction until after I had kids, I've never been able to be precious about it. And I've always just, if I have 8 minutes, I'll take 8 minutes, you
Yes.
know?
Good.
I've never like been able to be like, I'm just gonna wait till the mood strikes. So I've always got my laptop in the car. And if I'm driving them to soccer practice and then I'm waiting for them 20 minutes, like I've got my laptop open. I try to open my laptop every day, even if I have 10 minutes, because I feel like if I even just read a couple of sentences of what I'm working on, then for the next 24 hours, the novel is like, I'm like in the dream space of the book. And it means I'm driving to work and I'm constantly texting myself like crazy sounding audio texts because an idea will come to me.
Yes.
So I don't, most of like my big chunk hours come on the weekends. I get up really early and I have teenagers. So if I get up at 6, I can write for like 4 hours before they're awake.
Awesome.
Um, and so that's when I get the long periods. And then on weekdays, sometimes I'll get an hour or two while the kids are doing homework. And other times it'll be 15 minutes. But, I try to just, 10, 15 minutes a day if I can, you
Yes.
know.
I love that advice so much because I was the same as a teacher. It was just the life you have with kids and teaching and all that, everything that comes along with your life. You just have to find minutes. Like, I think there are people that wait to, oh, well, if I have an hour or 2 hours, they wait for the schedule to open up. It's not opening up. Like, it never
Right.
will. Don't wait. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, do what you can. And then it happens though, doesn't it? Like it's always surprising to me. I don't know why I'm still surprised after all these years, but the words get on the page and you can do
Yeah.
a lot in a short time. And
And
like you
I'm
say, waiting for inspiration, there's no point, right? Like,
And I can write anywhere as a result of that, especially when the kids were younger. I was so just craving writing time. I mean, I was once at some like kid's birthday party in one of those massive little kid gyms, and I was like in the corner with my laptop and
yes,
just like those places are so loud. And I
yeah,
got really good at just like locking in.
that's it. You can really train yourself to do that. I'm the same.
Yeah.
I can write anywhere. Noise, no noise, basketballs passing by, like it doesn't even matter. Yeah, I know that some people have particular needs and they can't do that, but if you can try to train yourself, boy, it can make a huge difference. And then
Yeah.
you're using that waiting time, right? Because there's a lot of moments, especially as moms, that you're okay, well, that's the practice goes to such and such a time and whatever it is.
Or my
Yeah.
son will be like, it goes to 5:45, but then he wants to kick the ball around for 20 minutes with his friends. And
Right.
then it's made me like a really patient mom too. Cause I'm like,
Yes.
oh, you go kick
You
the
go
ball around.
ahead. Right. It's fine. No problem. Yes. And then when they're older, like my kids are gone, they're like I'm empty nester now. So sometimes I'm like, it's so quiet here. I actually want to go, like I want to go to a coffee shop or something to write because it's very quiet. Quiet. So I need a little action. I need things happening. So
Yeah.
yeah, that can work too. Oh, that's amazing. So I was just so delighted to be able to talk to you about your book and a little bit and about your interesting life and career. This has been so fascinating to me, and a lot of connections between how we approach the writing life.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I hope that you keep in touch, and I hope folks will find you. So where can they find you online?
So I'm on Instagram at emmatortelot.com. It's Tourtelot. And then also just emmatortelot.com, my website.
Amazing. Amazing. And the book will be out by the time this podcast airs. The book will be out so everyone can go and run and get it. It is really beautiful. So thank you for sharing it with us.
Thank you, Lisa. It was
Thanks
so
for
nice.
coming. Okay, take care.
Bye.
Do you have writing goals that you'd like to achieve this year? Join a group of supportive writers in the Women Writing Circle. We meet bi-weekly to get pages done. Plus, when you subscribe to my Women Writing newsletter on Substack, you'll get a free download of my workbook, The Sisu Writing Method, Finnish Wisdom for Modern Writers. And did you know that the first 3 books in the Hygge House Cozy Mystery Series are available for pre-order? Book 1, Hygge and Homicide, will be out on March 3rd. Go grab your copy. Thanks for taking time out of your schedule to have a coffee break with us at Women Writing. Don't forget to subscribe to Women Writing on Substack. If you like this episode, share it with someone who needs a writing break and a little inspiration. Happy writing! Thank you to Michael Jensen for his original music and editing, and to Mia Jensen for the logo design.